Hello and welcome back to our mind. We are currently doing Punks and Late Shift while I bake a coffee and banana bread cake thing. I'm also going to be eating some potato crisps, sour cream and onion because I brought store brand because they're currently cheaper than normal brand. They have a weird thing where the normal brand's either cheaper or expensive, vice versa. It's weird. So I apologize for that now. Let's get into it. Escape. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing another, none sticking along enough to become a firm plan. But you didn't really mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. A grin popped on your face, as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Heading to the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this was really a true Covism. He'd rather scale your house than wait the extra couple of minutes for you to come down. You held a hand out to him. You offered Cove a hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entrance. He needed the help despite how many times he had done this.
Hey.
Hey, Callie. Hey to you. Do you think my mom should invest in some bigger windows? Cove laughed at that, and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. It'd make my life easier, that's for sure. Cove's voice came out quietly, with a strangely smile on his face. Did something happen? Cove opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone ringing cut him off. You both turned to where it was rested, a little further up on your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't tell who was calling. It's okay. Your attention shot back to Cove. He smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check it could be important. I'll wait. Thanks. You shuffled forward and scooped up the little noisemaker into your hand. You flipped it over and checked the caller ID. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too. With a nod, you accepted the call and said to speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi. There was something off about her tone. Cove met your gaze and saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terri?
Have you heard from Terri at all? Or did you hear about her from Cove? Huh? No. He hasn't called me. But Cove is with me right now. Hey. Oh. Hi, Cove. Is that what you were gonna say? He shook his head before realizing it wasn't a good enough answer when one person couldn't actually see it. No. Terri hasn't called me today either. Is something wrong? At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself any longer. The muffled sobs from the other side of the line were unmistakable. Terri doesn't like me anymore, if she ever did. What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah, why do you think that? She sniffled, and there was a pause, as you could hear her phone shift to her other hand. Terri was watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep by then. Dad works early. I tried to tell her it was okay to spend the night, and she could text her parents what happened, but Terri really didn't want to. You glanced at Cove. He looked equally unsure as you about where this story was going. It didn't seem like a friendship-ending situation. I suggested to make things easier, she was nervous. Like she could sleep by herself in my room while I stayed somewhere else. Yeah. And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't even tell me what was really wrong, or what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other anything. I guess I was wrong. Did she stay in the end? No! We got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up. I told her to drive her home when she heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do that when he needed the rest. But that was it. She isn't talking to me anymore. You could hear every bit of the tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. This continued to shock your neighbor, but Cove recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry.
I mean...
There's no way Terry wanted to make you feel this bad, or that she's just done with your friendship because of this. Miranda's sniffling continued. You hoped she had plenty of tissues handy. It's not a big deal, honestly. You could feel Cove's stare prickling at your skin, but you try not to acknowledge his disapproval. Terry's obviously upset about something, but she'll come around sooner or later. You don't have to panic over one fight. Even if it was upset and making a mountain of a molehill was only going to make the problem last longer. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew the crying was far from being done. I thought she would have reached out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. Hey, we're here for you.
Right.
Right. You can tell us anything. Thank you. Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief, that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own.
Is that alright?
If you do hear from her or anything, could you let me know if she's alright? We can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye! Bye. Bye. That didn't really seem like an especially productive point on the call, though. You weren't sure where to go from here. Looking at Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing on his face. He began to pace the length of your room, trying to put the pieces together in his head, in a way that made sense. You were pretty confident about this working well, but it was no fun hearing Miranda so sad. You could definitely empathize, but right now, there was no reason to get too worked up. It was only a matter of time until Terry reached out to someone, and you were sure hearing her side of things would clear it up. The empty state of your head before planning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put two thoughts together, and fluffing back on your bed, you stared into space. We should probably try going to Terry. Cove's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He stopped pacing, but you still saw the look on his face. Is it really something we should get involved with right now? Cove's mouth pressed into a hard line. At the moment, it seemed like the two of you were on very different wavelengths as to how to deal with this.
Come on.
I want to talk to Terry. She's my friend too. Fine. Then let's call her. Cove looked away and pulled his phone out. He went over and stood at his side as he was dialing. Cove let it ring, and ring, and ring, and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voicemail. Her shoulders slumped and Cove looked more troubled. If that was even possible, he turned to you for some lifeline. Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text, just like, hey, I was trying to reach you, call me or something. Yeah. You took her phone once more. Unfortunately, after another set of individual rings, the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Picking up, you saw Cove visibly deflate. He rubbed his arms, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair. I don't like this at all. They're fighting. We barely know anything, and we're supposed to just wait and see? Despite it only being a minute since he texted Terry, Cove checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress, for something, and he frowned as you watched him. They're going to get over it, you know. Cove stared harder at the screen as if he was trying to will a new message to appear. As your words sank in, he harshly stared at you, not impressed with that response. He continued to glare. His continued glare didn't stop you from completing it with thought. We know them. Whatever's wrong with Terry will all get past us. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath. He then sighed. His shoulders dropped down with it. Yeah, you're probably right. That's the spirit. I don't know why I did my monotone voice in my line. Cove was still gripping his phone with both hands, as if it might fly away if he let go. He looked at you with almost painful earnest. Should we... What do we even say if we hear from one of them? His pacing resumed, as he attempted to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other, instead of only us, maybe. He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. We should only tell them to work it out between themselves. That's it. For a split second, he looked at you in surprise, but then it was gone just as quickly. Instead, he glowered at you, then turned away, as though the sight of you was offensive to him. Is something wrong? You could feel your heart sinking in your chest. When he next spoke, his words were quiet, but struck like they were fired from a cannon.
Fine.
I'm fine. For several minutes, you both remained there, in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually, Cove turned around. I'm gonna text Terry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us because she won't have to pretend or explain. You felt too overwhelmed to know what to say next. Upset, your voice got caught in your throat as your thoughts were pulled in too many directions. Cove took your silence as a go-ahead. Cove's fingers worked furiously yet carefully. He was giving his full attention to his words. You sat up next to him and looked, trying to watch what he was writing. Cove rapidly typed out, Hey, Kelly and I really want to talk to you. Miranda told us what happened. Please reply back. And sent. It was done. We'll just have to wait and see what happens now. Great. Can we do something else now? You're being dramatic. His expression shifted from shock to anger in a span of few heartbeats. He shook his head.
Seriously?
Are you kidding me right now? No, I asked a perfectly good question. Our friends have stopped talking to each other, to us, and you want to ignore it? Yes, nothing's falling apart. They're gonna sort it out in a few days at most. Cove's eyes narrowed into sharp slits, and a look that was almost unheard of for him to direct at you. His tone of voice was equally as cutting. Is that what you want? For us to stop fighting too? That's not what I want, but that doesn't mean it isn't what's happening. Glaring daggers into him, you try to collect your thoughts. Seriously, what do you want from me? What do you want me to say? Why don't you say nothing? Because you have nothing to say. That just makes it even... Why don't you say nothing? Because anything you have said It just makes everything worse. You started to cry. The tears bubbled up in your eyes and spilled over. It wasn't the face you wanted to show him right now, but you couldn't stop yourself. Finally, it dawned on him what his words had been doing to you. All the anger and frustration crumbled away, leaving a look of contradiction in its place. He put his phone away and made an effort to smile, but it was meager, and did nothing to conceal the sadness in his eyes.
I'm sorry.
I'm really sorry, Callie. I never know what to do about this kind of thing. Maybe we should just forget about it. You simply nodded back. There was a part of you that worried it wouldn't be long before Cove pulled out his phone again. But you were relieved that he had put it away. The last thing you wanted to fight with him, especially over this. Taking a deep breath in and out, you were thankful for progress of some sorts. A silence stretched in on what felt like hours, but likely wasn't that long before there was a knock at your bedroom door and Mom peeked in. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Cove! When did you get here? When she saw your monstrous expressions, she opened the door all the way, and the question was dropped. Matt was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife to come inside your space.
Everything okay?
What's wrong? What's with the long faces? Are you both okay? You tried to nod, but it was no use. Your voice cracked, despite your best effort to not let it get to you no more. You couldn't even lift your eyes off the floor, as though the weight of your worry was dragging your head down. Miranda and Terri had a big fight, and none of us can get a hold of Terri. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look, though. Its meaning was lost on you.
I'm so sorry.
I am so sorry to hear that's trouble with your friend, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No. We're just waiting to see if Terri calls or texts, or Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you take your mind off things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lani. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Yes, that'd be wonderful. I'll go to see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away, then stopped. You pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
And of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your mums cared so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. That's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You are both very welcome. Now I'm starting not so kiddos. Leave everything to us. I don't know why I put everything in there. Just relax and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded, and your mums dispersed for now, bringing into action for their impromptu get-together. You plopped down on your bed, feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot on a chair off to the side. You sighed at the same time, and Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone another quick check, and his eyebrows furrowed. Still nothing. Yep, this is crap. Huh. Yep. Cove chewed the inside of his cheek, as if to stop and mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Or what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this. That got a pointed pause in his movement. Cove was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least when you're in a fight yourself, you have some responsibility, some control over it. I wish it didn't have to happen, but that isn't possible. So, oh well, I guess. His attempt to give a nonchalant shrug after that was quite pitiable. It's whatever. Other people can do what they want, right? There was an edge to your tone. You couldn't quite help as the strain of it all stretched you out again. Your fists clenched, and your whole body seemed to tense up with them. Cove's eyes fell to the floor as you let out a long sigh, trying to let the frustration ease out of you with it. That was a question you had to ask. Is it because of what happened with your parents? Cove ran a hand through his hair, a strange smile spreading across his lips. For him, this pain struck close to his heart. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was lost. Amidst the faraway his gaze. Yeah, you got it. It's like my parents. Despite knowing him for so many years, Cove had never spoken in the years before he moved to Sunset Bird, before his parents separated, in any detail. His whispered thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned with whether you could hear them or not. They used to fight all the time. I think they got along when I was a baby. I mean, they had to have wanted to be with each other at some point. When I was old enough to remember anything, it was already bad. There was always something wrong, and I could never help. I just wanted them to be happy. You tried to imagine your mom's breaking up, and that very idea scared you. But Cove had to endure that for real. I'm sorry. Allie!
Don't worry about it.
It's okay. Despite that revelation, Cove gazed reassuringly at you. It's not like that anymore. Things are so different now. I don't even really think about it anymore. I'm adding in was for some reason. Again, sorrow reasserted itself, and he continued. You could barely hear him. So, I guess it's pretty obvious. I haven't forgotten it either. You hugged him. You crossed the room and, picking up a bit of speed, Cove's eyes widened. He shot out of the chair and stood waiting for you with a nonplussed look. When you collided into him, wrapping your arms around his middle and knocking the air out of his lungs, all the mystery was gone. Cove squealed. Oh! He returned the gesture warmly. Exhaling, you leaned down and pressed your cheek into the warmth of his neck. The tension stuck in your chest, released like a river flowing into the ocean that was Cove. The firmness of his hug told you that Cove didn't plan on letting go anytime soon. You both needed the comfort and the closeness just for a little bit longer. When he finally did, the two of you took a seat again, but this time side by side on your bed. Today was a lot, huh? Yeah, it was. You leaned against him, resting the side of your head on his shoulder. You glanced up at his face. Cove watched you affectionately. In that gentle gaze, you finally felt like everything was going to be okay. No matter what happens, we can make it work. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled, resting your head comfortably back on his shoulder.
Me too.
I think so too. And for a while, you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you, and the sun fell with it. The warming calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. You spun half expecting him to find him nursing an injury, but instead you found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated. Check it out. Right! He got out of his pockets, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out. The force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. His eyes honed in on the screen. It's Terri! Thank God! She says she's sorry. He looked back at you, eyes wide, as his nerves started fraying once more. What should I say? Tell her to call us. Okay, He flashed you a shaky smile, and as he began to type, you suspected that he had a similar thoughts himself, but wanted the reassurance of a second opinion. Cove's phone buzzed nearly as soon as the message was sent. Ah! It's Terri! Again! She's talking to us! He asked about what Miranda said, but wait! You leaned in, watching the conversation unfold on Cove's screen.
Right.
She's actually gonna call! Cove held his voice. Cove held his breath as he waited. Though he was good with people, he'd never been at ease with managing conflict. His phone rang out. Cove jammed the answer button. He switched the phone on to speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. But despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey! It was tentative, a white flag, fluttering in the wind. Callie's there too. Hi! We've been worried about you.
Hey.
Hey, buddies. Harry's energy was barely recognizable without a usual quick pattern and
Are
energy.
you okay?
Are things okay? I don't know. Probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiling into an anxious fist. Can you talk about us? Can you talk to us about what happened? Don't you know already? Miranda explained some of it, but it doesn't make sense to us. You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much. I was at Randy's house and we decided to watch some movies he super liked that I'd never seen before. Turns out there was a lot of those. We watched one after another and another. We were having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about it at the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know. I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. I get it. Then I finally saw the time and oh no, it was way too late. I knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer when she resumed talking. I was so stressed out, I couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better and trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, but there were so many, but I couldn't really answer all of them. I didn't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my head ache. And I still had the first problem and Randy there trying to help, passing all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gasped, audibly sniffing. I got frustrated and told her to leave me alone. But then she wanted to talk about it. Why I wanted that. And then we started having a fight in the kitchen. It woke Randy's dad up. We told him about how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me. So Mr. Eckert offered to do it. That's nice of him. Nope.
Self-voicing disabled.
That's nice of him. Harry groaned. I know. I accepted because I definitely didn't want to stay then. Not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. I feel awful and embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to drive me home. What would you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start. I didn't want to make it worse by saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So I'm not talking. Harry, Randy isn't mad that you didn't want to stay or that you fought. He just feels like you can talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want, she'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Harry laminately mourned on the other end of the line, but he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. He looked at Cove, hunched over the phone, staring pensively into it, and searching for a solution. This couldn't be solved with the other key party missing. But what if he brought them in? Your phone was still free. You rang Miranda without saying a word. Harry might flee from the call if you told her what was going on. You wanted to make certain they spoke to one another. You zipped your phone out. In the background, you could hear Cove and Miranda still talking. You began dialing while they were distracted and set to the speaker and waited for Miranda to join.
Hi.
Hi, Callie. Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere. but it was loud enough for your needs. What was that? Terry shouted her question, confirming that she heard Miranda's arrival too.
What happened?
What was that? Cove glanced over your shoulder towards you, spotting your phone in your hand. He smiled ruefully. He sussed your game. Randy? Terry? Realization that they could now hear each other was dawning over all the parties now. You decided to help along with an explanation. Miranda is on speak with me, Terry's on speak with Cove. Oh. There was a pause while the two of them digested this information, considering the next words. You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break, and wondered who was be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have some weight on the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along, or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniff, followed by another. From Cove's phone. Sorry, Randy. I hope you still like me. What? You're the one acting as if you didn't like me! Her tone was defensive, no doubt a result of her wounds from last night still being raw.
What?
No way! Everyone likes Randy! You're wonderful! Your eyes met Cove's. His phone was towed towards yours, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping the signal was strong enough to convey every nuisance of the tone. Cove did likewise, bringing himself right next to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip. I didn't know what to say there. That's the only reason I would talk to you. If I had known the answer, I would have told you right away. Miranda murmured on the other line. You didn't want to stay, and the thing I tried to do bothered you. And you could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing, and didn't want help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing dumb things. Oh. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
Staying up late and watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it. That's what I thought anyway. But I should have given you space. Sorry for being so pushy and sensitive. Happily, Miranda echoed having a flaw. I've never had such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat. Maybe you should call each other now. Sorry!
Sure.
Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Callie, and Cove. He hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Cove any room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed. The noise tinkling gently in like the wind chimes in the summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye. Bye, and good luck. Bye. Talk to you soon. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without the other voices in it. Cove expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly formed silence. He dropped his arms to the side, let his head hang down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. The day's events strained you. Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. I think I need to find better ways for dealing with conflict, because that was awful. We could all probably do better at that. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed his eyes, weariness creeping over him, and mumbled his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods? Huh? Oh, no, forget it. Your eyebrows rose, then a bulb went off in your head. before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cove's original visit had been thrown off so kilter that it was a struggle to even wind your memory back when he first turned up. Now you did, though. You remembered that you'd been perky when he arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cove brushed his hands against his now folded arms shyly. Well, yeah, maybe. But I'm not sure it counts as news or even good. It just is what it is. I'm happy about it, though. You were curious, but you didn't want to push Cove as he didn't want to speak about it. You don't have to say anything, but if it makes you feel good, I think it's good news. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine. If you want to hear it, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet, as a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation. I didn't want to make it a big deal, but I I just know what my sexuality is now. Oh! A real changing subject, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove had to come to understand himself more, and he was glad to share it with you. That's great! Tell me more. Cove drew a breath, straightening up. I'm demisexual, so, most of the time I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants and stuff. It's only in some situations when I'm really emotionally and romantically connected to someone that I even think of anything sexual, and it's only with them. I hadn't had the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense once I knew what it meant. I had a word that fit how I felt.
Yeah.
And I'm panromantic, because I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything. So, yeah. That makes sense. Looking around, Cove looked down at the floor, being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he spent a long time trying to figure out, seemed to be kind of weird to him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up, his gaze was steadfast. Or this talk of Cove's sexuality made you reflect on your own. I don't remember what I put when we were younger. You didn't really have a physical interest in other people. You had romantic attraction in a general way, but specifically when it came to how you felt towards men, you found them attractive, especially your boyfriend. Wait, what was the other options? I didn't read. I think that's the first one. Remember, sexually interested, but you're very happy in your romantic relationship with Paxton. Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, we're still going with the first one. I just wanted to read the other one because I saw Max's name. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to read the other one. And how you felt towards women. You weren't interested in girls, and how you felt towards MBs. You weren't physically interested, but you'd be happy to have a romantic relationship with someone non-binary. You hadn't told Cove how your feelings had changed. You decided to share that with him now. Well, since we're talking about this already, I've realized some things and have... Whoopsie. Well, since we're talking about things already, I've realized some things since we've talked about Glenn. Yeah, I can definitely listen. I'd like to know if you want me to. You articulated to Cove how you experienced attraction and romance. Cove let out a bead laughs, in case you had more to say. You didn't. So he tilted his head with a likewise bent smile.
I get it.
I don't know if it makes sense to say something that's cool. Something like that is cool. But I think it's really great for you. He smiled, knowing that he was doing his best to be encouraging. Thanks for understanding. He merely smiled again. It felt good to know that the two of you could talk so easily about these matters. Cove closed his eyes. A content sigh slipped out of him as he stretched, his arms overhead. You could tell that Cove felt like it had been an emotionally draining day, and now that had come to a close, everything wrapped up, neatly with a bow on top. You had some good talks with your friends and with each other. A lot had brought out into light. So you'd likely come out of it not only knowing each other better, but yourself too. But there was still something that Cove didn't know. Something that had gnawed at you many times over the years. You never told Cove how you first met his dad. You'd always held it back from him, unsure how he'd take the revelation. His dad seemed to have done the same, as Cove didn't seem to have heard from Mr. Holden either. Maybe you'll tell him someday, but not today. The day had been sufficiently dramatic about introducing the old skeleton in your closet. That could wait until another time. I'm assuming that we will have another chance to at least tell Cove. Maybe in step 4. I'm not too sure, that's why I'm bookshelving it now, and we'll get to find out as this goes on.
Hey.
Hey! We should probably head downstairs soon, if your moms are still wanting everyone to get together. Yeah, that's right. With a renewed spring in your step, you led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Good to see you both.
Hey.
Hey. Here we are. Trying to accommodate everyone into a group, but the two of you were already upstairs this whole time. Hey, Dad. We had some stuff to talk about. Yeah. But we made it. So, what's the plan? Apple cards. There was a murmur of interest from the others. Oh god. You didn't really want to play cards. You weren't alone in not wanting to participate. Mr. Holden was demurring.
Nah.
I think I'll sit this one out. What's the fun in that? Join in! Yes. I know there's a lot of people, but we can make it work. Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by their attention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time. Yeah. Remember that time I played over there? Those were serious games. You made bets with real money and everything. Dad. Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Cove, Callie, you're adults now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card games so you could win. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose more rounds than I won. He toyed with his end of the ponytail. He toyed with the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at revealing this bit of info. He did have a history with bad surprises, so maybe that had been why. I know people wanted to be taken seriously, and fake wins didn't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. So, much better when everyone else got the chance to be victorious. Kyrie knew and went along with it. Cove laughed in disbelief, but this was something his dad stressed about hiding after the other stunts he pulled over the years. So what? What's the parents doing? I haven't guessed it. Sure, though, looking back, it makes sense. That's right. What's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kids' glove off and give them a run for their money. Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
Why?
And why not? He waved his hands expansively. The movements fluid and vague. It's actually I am something of a card shark. I used to make a lot of games fast cash. I used to make lots of fast cash off of games. Casual players don't have a shot unless it's the game of pure luck. Cove's jaw hung open, his wide eyes fixated on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement, even admiration, nestled among the shark. The other members of the wolf family exchanged looks, ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mum's intrigue, with Matt somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you back it up, Shark Man. Mr. Holden gave her a crooked smile, his demeanor quickly being replaced with the confidence of someone very skilled or misguided. You sure about that? Definitely. We've got to see this so-called non-casual player in action. Well, I might be able to. Who knows though? Maybe I've gone rusty. His coyness continued to rile up the gang, and he was getting a kick out of it now. Come on, please.
Alright.
Alright. I can dust off the old tricks. Great! Cove beamed at his father while Mom grabbed Mr. Holden on the back. Liz died off to get the deck of cards, while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt. Mr. Holden wasted no time to prove his words true, wiping the floor with all of you. He played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. That was how alliances forged. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holden only just to try and increase the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled out a few victories. Yet it was still a challenge. He was clearly a professional. If those were his skills now, rusty with disuse, you couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he had been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with the others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by the strategy. He actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens, having fun. It was an interesting evening, for sure, with many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing, and yet simultaneously, you felt more tied together than you had been before. After lunch, you ran into Baxter. He was more than happy for an impromptu hangout in your neighborhood. Natalie spoke about the first time he bought a shirt online. Apparently the website hadn't been in English, so he had to make do with automatic online translations. His unique fashion sense was more eclectic. His unique fashion sense was more eclectic in more ways than one. Finding out how he felt his wardrobe answered some of your questions. About his looks, he smiled fondly in remembrance. I measured myself multiple times to make sure I could order the correct size. It wasn't as if I had been able to ship it back if there was problems. But, to make a long story short, it arrived in one piece, multiple months later. At that point I wasn't going to complain. It was a physical object in my hands. He gestured with his arm for emphasis as he did. If Baxter glanced at his wrist, a watch wasn't there. Anyway, I'm hoping I'm not taking too much of your time with this. You're currently taking it easy for a bit before you had to get ready for work. You had an unusual closing shift at your job today. Actually, I do have to get going soon. I have a closing shift at work. Normally I don't close today. I don't know if someone's out or what. It's what it is. Cove's already working. He's at the old library as an assistant. I think he's found a good option for himself, especially with how limited jobs are in this town. He can usually take the later shift, so his mornings are free. The both of us are pretty much booked this evening once I get to work. Baxter nodded understandingly. He was more interested than you had expected him to be. What do you do? I work at the public library. I want to try and see if I can get that key to see if it's actually real. But it's gonna take a lot of trial and error. So a lot of the footage might be a little chopped because I'm doing that. I've got to see if it's real, but I don't know what choices will land me in that position, because I've never seen anyone do it. But then again, I don't watch many people's our live videos because I don't have that attention span, and I'm talking way too fast again. I do have when I'm in the rush to do stuff, because I'm in a rush, like... Oh, shit. It's 3:20. Whoopsies. I'm a night owl, anyways. I should turn off the lights to save on some electricity. I guess. I don't mind staying in the dark. I didn't realize that was the time. He grinned as if you'd set some exciting career as a movie star. Interesting. It is so sweet that the two of you work together. Absolutely adorable. Really.
Well.
Now that I know where and when you work, does that mean I should avoid visiting the place at that time? Or should I conveniently happen to bump into you during your shift? Palma. I regret having those knockoff Pringles now. I've eaten half a cake and they were supposed to be saved for Sunday, so I'm doing the rest for Sunday, so I have them to eat while I go out. But they're gonna be gone by Sunday. I know what I'm like. No. He chuckled at his directness. He could be straightforward at times. I would absolutely love having a distraction during my shift. Sometimes you need a little excitement at work. He nodded his head with excitement in his eyes. Then I might have to make another stop to make my outing this evening. Thank you. I've got to go get ready now. Good luck, Callie. He waved at you as you peeled off towards your house. You reached the front door and gave Baxter one final nod before you went inside. You finished preparing early. And it didn't take you long to change into your uniform. You made sure your hair was clean and gave your professional-looking self a thumbs up in the mirror. You casually went back outside. Ready, you felt satisfied at the time. Even if things went to plan, you would be at work with time to spare, just as you liked. You walked to work. You chose to walk rather than take the family car. It was a long journey and you got yourself to work. You arrived at the building and went in my god. You arrived at the building and went in a leisurely place. Nothing seemed to be out of ordinary that day. Cove spotted you immediately. He was in the middle of taking a stack of books to the front desk. He smiled warmly at you and set the pile down. They were mostly children's science books about birds. Hi, Cove. Need any help with those? I got them, but thanks. With your reins taken care of, you're prepared to get your shift officially started. The first thing you had to deal with was putting away some books that were still left on the study table. Most of them were about bugs, so you took them to the science section. You wondered what the person had been researching. As you looked at the titles, you set each book into its place. Maybe it was a science project on insects? You checked the last book and smiled. You certainly had a pretty good idea, with the life cycle of lightning bugs safely put back in place. You went into your next task. Most of working at the library was like that. You put things away, organized, unpacked new arrivals. Try to keep the place neat. Sometimes you answer people's questions. You did whatever you were told, really. You were only working there because you couldn't find somewhere better. It was sad that this was your best option. Every so often you looked for other opportunities, but nothing had ever panned out. That was the downside of living in such a small town. You toiled away with the rest of the afternoon, each minute ticking by in slow motion. During the slow moment, you heard a distant and familiar voice. Excuse me. You turned your head and saw Baxter sauntering towards you. He really did turn up just to visit. Hey Baxter, welcome to my personal torment. He grinned with a tilt of his head. Is this a good time? Yeah, I'm not too busy right now.
Excellent.
Excellent. I didn't know there was gonna be a voice there. You searched his eyes. You saw his eyes search the place, clearly never having been before. You're both standing in the sci-fi section, surrounded by colorful spines with authors' names in large white print. Baxter gave them a curiosity glance. I actually wonder if I could check something out, despite not being someone who actually lives in this town. I've never been to a local library like this. I've only visited school libraries and privately owned ones. I'm glad that seeing me was worth breaking your no public library streak. Of course, it is well worth it. Though, you never answered my question. Am I able to get something to read for the summer, or am I barred from borrowing? You can, as long as you get a library card and return your book before you move back. You looked genuinely excited as he flashed you a smile. Then there's only one thing to do. Would you mind helping me get set up? With that, you set back into customer service mode. He raised an eyebrow at your cherry expression. That won't be a problem at all, sir.
Not bad.
Oh, why thank you. That is an unexpected delight. You and Baxter spent a little more time together, chatting about what he should get. Eventually a decision was made, and he was off to explore more of the town. You were glad he came by. It was a nice break from real customers. But you had to get back to your usual tasks. You checked the clock that high on the wall. With how late it was time for your meal break. You waved a sigh of relief and left your station. You found a quiet nook away from eye shots of most visitors, where you could eat. You bought a few things from home and started to dig in. Cove pushed an old sweet pile of books past you. He slowed down and creaked to a stop when he noticed that you were there. Having dinner? Yep.
Cool.
Cool. I already had mine earlier, but I can take my last small break now. He took a small seat next to you, not needing a response. He scooted the chair to be a little closer so the two of you could talk easily. He knew he was welcome at your spot. The day's been going by really quickly. What? It's taking forever! As if time was a sand in the hourglass, then your grains clogged in the middle part. The clock just kept going and going and going. You still had more of your shift after this. Cove laughed quietly. Hey, am I crazy or did I see Baxter hit earlier? You laughed at Cove, trying to puzzle out the supposed black and white sighting. Probably. He came by to see me. Wow. Well, oh no, it's too bad I missed him. Super busy with my own work. I guess it's a shame. His tone was joking, at least mostly. You shook your head and tried to hide your grin. It's so busy I'm surprised I'm even sitting down right now. At that thought, Cove glanced over at the clock on the wall in the same way you had earlier. Cove sighed. The two of you had only started talking, yet it was somehow over.
Bye.
Bye. The word was flat. He was down about leaving. There was a second of silence before he pulled himself together. We'll have more time later. Right. Bye. He got up and pushed in his chair back into place. The spell looked lonely already. You let him go and finished up your meal on your own. Just as you were clearing, your phone vibrated. Cove had found time to sneak you a quick test. Just a few more hours until closing. You smiled as you finished your break. It was time to get back to work. Customers continued to trickle in, even though it was getting closer to closing time. Before you could jump back into work, you heard your phone's quiet jingle in your pocket. It had to be a text message, but there was no way you could check it now. Taking the distraction off, you quickly fell back into the rhythms of things. There were still plenty of tasks that had to be done. You were filing some papers when you noticed movement out of the corner of your eye. Glancing up, you saw someone stop at the counter. Excuse me, do you have any tissues back there? Yeah, we do. I can go grab that in a second. Turning back to what you were doing, you saw it at a faster pace. When you were almost done, there was a loud thump on the counter. John had unceremoniously dumped a stack of books, presumably expecting you to put them away. You tried to spot the culprit, but there wasn't anyone inside other than the person from before. They must not have even stopped for a moment to see if you were available to take them. Ultimately, it didn't matter. The books did. And with a frown, you started collecting them all into your arms. Stalling for a moment, another hand reached from across the counter and picked up one of the books. Hand with a faint line of a scar around the forearm, Cove's mouth pulled into a silent smile, one that couldn't help but match. He stretched over the counter, and together you had the book sorted, and ready to be reshelved quickly. Then he strolled off with a wave from behind. He had his own tasks to take care of. When those were out of the way, the quiet sound of fingers tapping brought your attention back to the person waiting for you off to the side. Your face warmed. The last few minutes pushed them completely out of your mind. They were in need of tissues. The box of tissues were in plain sight when you slid them into a nearby back room. Seconds later, you were back at the counter with your finest customer service smile. You went over to where the library patron was waiting. I'm sorry about the wait. You held the box of tissues to them. They glanced down to the box. Thanks. They took a couple of tissues and bore them open to a fist. Before you could ask if they needed anything else, they were already walking away. Soon enough, they disappeared between the shelves. You were ready to push the whole event out of your mind. You regret that interruption hadn't made you forget what you were doing. Your body was starting to tire out from the busyness today. Luckily, you had one more short break. You took a seat and finally checked those messages from earlier. That was one sent from Mom. Would you mind stopping off at the grocery store on your way home to pick up some asparagus and peppers for dinner tomorrow? Can't make myself deadline the night right now. Thank you and have a great day. You were happy to do it. It wasn't what you were expecting to do today, but it was totally fine. Your mom was always working hard and you wondered how her day was going. Hopefully, better than yours. You thought texting back you said, yeah, I can do that. You weren't expecting her to text back anytime soon, though you'd already got thanks for it. For another minute, you stretched your arms high over your head and imagined how nice it would be falling back into bed later was going to be. You sighed. Hopefully, the rest of your shift could go by in a blink of an eye. You jumped back into the rhythm of things. Across the room, you caught eyes of Cove. He stopped. His serious expression twisted into a funny face with a stuck-out tongue. You made an equally weird face back at him. Cove coated his mouth with the palm of his hand. Even from a distance, you could see the rumbles of laughter vibrating through his body. Chuckling, you looked away. You knew that if you didn't find something else to focus on, you'd both be in trouble for fooling around. For a while, you and Cove were busy doing different tasks. You knew each other well enough to give support and receive support where needed. Things wouldn't have gone smoothly if you weren't working with anyone else. At one point, you and Cove teamed up to push one of the carts around, collecting all the books people abandoned in random spots throughout the library. The task ended up being better than usual. No one else was around, so it gave you both the opportunity to make a game out of it. You raced to collect the most books and sped to get them back, and then sped to get them reshelved in their right spots, all while dragging a big car around together. Then, later on, while he was passing you by with a different issue, you felt a little pat on your arm. The small action caught you by surprise. For a split second, you saw his fun smile. It put an instant pep in your step. It was fun, and you both deserved to get It was fun, and you both deserved to manage. Oh my god. It was fun, and you both deserved it to manage the more stressful moments at work. You were grateful to have Cove with you through it all. The last of the customers had finally exited the building. It was time to close. When all the doors were locked, you exhaled loudly. The whole place was officially closed. You were worn down. Today ended up being a long one, mentally and physically. Shift in how you were standing. You winced. The soles of your feet felt pain. There was no doubt in your mind that you were going to be stiff and sore the next morning. Glancing over at Cove, you saw he was in the middle of stretching his arms out over his head. He was so clearly ready to lie down. You wondered if he was able to open his eyes when he was done. But he did. And he turned to you. He was exhausted for having to work so much overtime. Though you probably see the sparks of how excited he had been. The day. It was probably the only thing keeping him on his feet. Your eyes stared up. It was like a rubber band snapping. You weren't expecting it, but you'd worn yourself down thin to make it through the day. When you wiped some tears away, you noticed Cove watching you worriedly. I'm fine, just tired and stressed. There was a pause when you continued to fight the tears welling in your eyes.
That's a lie.
I don't think you're fine. Your gaze locked with his, and you felt the dam pouring about the strongest waves of everything you had pushed aside falling apart. Callie? Oh. In a few quick strides, Cove closed a space between both of you. He pulled you in closer, wrapping his arms protectively around you. Closing your eyes, you leaned into him and listened to his breathing. Cove rubbed soothing circles into the middle of your back, and slowly the tension eased from your body. Being grown up and working, it's hard. Yeah. You both stood there, silently, a little while longer. After letting yourself feel the tangled mess of emotions simmer down. After letting yourself feel the tangled mess of emotions you let simmer for far too long, you felt lighter. Slowly the two of you separated. You felt better, and Cove seemed to be in better spirits too. You did good. Today. I mean it. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly, like he wasn't sure what to do with his son now. The corner of your mouth hooked into a small smile. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. It's nothing really. We're both in this together. Nodding in agreement, you took relief from his words. He stared at you gently. Do you want to go home now? Actually, I have an errand to run for my mom. What do? The grocery store. Mom texted me and asked me earlier if I could pick up a couple of things. Oh. Would you want to come too? It was late and you knew Cove wanted to go home, but admittedly, you wanted company. He's that concerned by smiling softly. Sure, yeah, I can go with you. You walked, right? Mm-hmm. Want me to drive you? Yeah, that would make things a lot easier. No problem. It's nice of you doing. It's nice of you to do this.
Not really.
Not really. I like spending time with you. Thanks. I like that too. Women say that you had your things together and were ready to swing by the store. You were out of the door within minutes. I pulled into one of the many free parking spots of the neighborhood 24-hour grocery store. Car doors were popped open, and you got out at the same time. There was a salty smell in the air as the two of you strolled through the dim parking lot. The local burger joint on the other side of the pavement guaranteed the place always smelled like fries. But it's better fries than something crappy. Oh shit, this place has changed since we last saw it. Either that or we're in the whole another aisle. But I remember something else when we played with Derek. Your eyes squinted at the change of lighting when you made it inside of the building. The automatic doors shut behind you. With you truly having arrived, Cove raised his eyebrows curiously. So, what are we here for again? What? Asparagus and peppers. It's for something my mom's making tomorrow. Sounds good. This will be a short trip. Uh-huh. You idly scanned the front row for a basket you could use. A full car wasn't necessary. You felt responsible having your parents rely on you. It was a recent change that you wanted to fully embrace. You spotted one of the baskets and caught a glimpse of yourself while looking down to pick one up. You know, it feels funny to be in some other store while in a uniform from a different place. Cove snickered while sidling up beside you. Right? It's like we're wearing a costume after Halloween is over. But I just hope no one thinks we work here. The uniform is totally different, but you never know. Yeah, people. Parents. Basket in hand, you amble towards the vegetable section. It was set near the back, but visible from the entrance. Cove matched your pace, keeping at your side. The asparagus was simple enough to select. You simply picked up a bundle that looked fresh. All was left was the peppers. And there was a wrinkle in that plan. What kind did they want? You didn't say. Then what are we gonna do? The color definitely matters. No, it doesn't matter. You tossed a few of the closest peppers into the basket. Mission accomplished. Cove laughed at your blatant vegetable indifference. Produce acquired? All that was left was to go through the line. But you approached the cash registers. Cove stopped in his tracks. Oh! While we're here, I want to get something too. I need food for breakfast tomorrow. But what should I have? You glanced back unsurely at the selection you just left. I can go back to look with you. That coaxed a small smile from Cove, his tension eased.
Sorry.
Thanks, Callie. And sorry. It's fine. We can take a little more time to do this. Cove gratefully led you back to the fruit stands. He let his eyes wander across all the options, seriously considering his decision. Not bothering to rush, he walked up and down the produce aisle for a second time that trip. Finally, something caught his attention. Transparent case containing fresh blueberries. Cove grinned. That's it. It'll be perfect for tomorrow. I can't remember if that option changes. I might have. Either that or I hallucinated fresh bananas. I don't know which. Either way, it's funny. Great! Despite the sadness of how it happened, you were genuinely glad Cove was able to get something nice for himself during the trip to the store. It made the trip even more worthwhile. Cove carried his food himself, and the two of you went to get a spot in line. After that, you completed separate orders for what you were getting. The produce was packed to simple bags. There was one for you and one for Cove. You had what you needed in hand. The errand was finished. You walked across the length of the store to reach the doors closest to where you had parked. You and Cove stepped back into the night. Cove lightly swinged his bag back and forth in his grip. You were squinting into the dark parking lot. He smiled slightly, a gentle expression on his lips. Thanks for inviting me to the grocery store. Thank my mom for sending me out to do this. Your mom is pretty cool, though maybe not asking you to do a chore. After a moment of walking farther in the parking lot, he sighed mildly. As nice as Cove was about this, he had to be tired after working a full shift. It's been a long day. Yeah. That very brief exchange really summed it up. Cove shook his head to himself amused, placing his worn-down expression. When did a busy day go from having way too many ways we wanted to play, or having some extra homework, to having to spend all day at a job and then running errands after? When we became grown-ups. This is the true adult experience, working, buying food, and then squeezing in human interaction while you do all the productive stuff. Well, I guess me always did think older people spend their lives at their jobs. I was right all along. He laughed and you had to agree. Cove's eyes narrowed as his mouth opened slightly. His having a thought.
I think?
Your moms need this stuff for tomorrow's dinner, not tonight, right? Uh-huh. And nothing's frozen, so you don't need to get home urgently or anything. Would you want to go across the parking lot to that fast food place? We could get something. You know it's still open and it doesn't matter how late it is. It might be nice. He poked up at the suggestion. It sounded like fun. Alright, let's go for it. Let's drop the groceries off, then we can go. You agreed, and Cove strolled over to the cars, buoyed at the thought of something to look forward to. He placed his bag in the back of his car and then let you store yours inside as well. With the groceries taken care of, it was a short walk to the burger joint. There were 3 cars lined up in the drive-thru, which wasn't too bad. You had to go all the way around the building to get to the front entrance. But as soon as you were under another bright set of fluorescent lights, luckily there was no line inside the building, so you stepped right up to the counter. You glanced over the menu. You remembered eating here before, with Cove, back when Kyra had taken you both out years ago. The menu looked pretty much the same you could remember, but it was missing the mozzarella sticks. But most of the other items were familiar. Hello, what would you like to order? Yes, hello, I would like one of everything on your dessert menu. Hey, you stole my order! He brushed a hand against the back of his head, in a polite smile for the employee bent. Mom rolled off of me. I was reminiscing on that visit too. After the cashier made sure Cove was being serious, it was your turn to order. You got literally everything again. Full of noties. Up. In the words of Kyra, anything that we don't eat can go to Cliff. Cove gave you a little thumbs up. He wasn't the only one indulging. He wrapped up the order processing, paid. Got the number 264, then came to table. You sat down from Cove in a booth, but you had a good view of the front counter. It was nice to have the pick of the place. Too bad the mozzarella sticks are gone. Oh, I didn't notice. I wonder when they got rid of them. Neither of you had an answer to that question. You don't have your phone to text your moms about your delay home. You don't want them to worry. Cove watched you pull... Cove watched you before pulling out his phone as well. Maybe for the same reason you did. When the updates were sent, it was back to being just you and your neighbor once more. He offered you a small smile. I missed you, you know. Even when you weren't really gone. It's been less time than I'm accustomed to. Cove tapped his fist on the table defiantly. You've had that action with a childish pout. If someone saw him like that, they might have assumed he was throwing a fit over not getting the toy that comes with the kids' meal. We need to man more time with each other. You dropped your palms onto the tabletop for emphasis. Exactly. He beamed at you sincerely, a ray of sunshine in this late night food trip. Just wait until we do Cove's ending. I'll get married in that one. I'll assume that I can. Otherwise I'm doing enough playthrough. Just to make sure we can do that. But we should be fine, and it's almost 4 in the morning. I better hurry this one up. When the number was called, Cove hopped from his seat before you could react.
Don't worry about
I've got it. Save our spot. Alright, see you. You stayed in the booth and got situated for the arrival of all the stuff. You checked over the table and moved your phone to the side to make sure there was a clear space. Cove returned with 2 trays in hand, a great bounty of food. He placed them down carefully, being extra cautious with the tray that held his milkshake. I'm back! Thank you for carrying all that, Cove. It's no problem. Cove didn't hesitate before digging in. He took a large bite of his cookie and immediately sipped his milkshake. What cookie? I ain't seen one, unless he just devoured the entire thing whole. Then he took his spoon and sampled his sundae with the approved hum. He made an attempt to follow that up with a bite of his apple pie as well, but bowed with a distressed look on his face. He tilted your head in a silent question. What? He switched back to the milkshake, taking a dedicated slab. Cove sighed at the cool relief it brought. You started to taste yours. It really wasn't bad. In only a minute, Cove's cookie was gone. You wouldn't be surprised if the milkshake wasn't far behind. You teasingly offered to feed him his remaining treats. You want me to feed you? It wasn't a no. You picked up his apple pie and offered it to him encouragingly. Cove smirked and took another sip of his milkshake. It had to be delicious with how fast he was down in that thing. After his contemplated your offer, he shrugged and took a mouthful of the straw. Alright. He laughed and wiggled the pie towards him. Luckily, it seemed to have cooled down since the initial attempts at a bite. He leaned forward and chomped down. It was hard for him to eat with how much he was giggling. You felt so glad that Cove... You felt so glad Cove agreed to come along with you on this initial grocery trip, and equally happy you accepted his invitation here. A little more time off your feet, a little something to eat, you felt more energized than before. Your long shift at work couldn't have been more than an hour or 2. In the past, it seemed like a lifetime away now. You continued to chat, mess around, laugh, and enjoy yourselves. For the first time that night, you felt like you hadn't totally grown up after all. And there we go! I've beat it! It's not 4 in the morning yet. We've still got 3 minutes before that. And I'll be heading up in like 10.